So I was wondering why we look at transits in a certain way and why we don't look the transiting planets in the same way that we look at planets in resonance, for example. So when it comes to Neptune at the moment, and Neptune being in the 36.5, I think we only talk about crisis with this transit, but we don't talk about Neptune enough. And what Neptune brings us is misinformation. So how we can see this transit is by there being a huge possibility to learn misinformation while we are in crisis. So it's also 0.5, so other people can project on you that you are in crisis at the moment, and they're going to offer you stuff where you have to be very careful, because whatever you're being offered can easily be misinformation. And then I was also thinking about the nodes. We say that personality nodes, well, we just look at personality when it comes to transits, and then we say that the nodes are the background frequency. But they're not really a background frequency, because this is not design nodes that we're looking at. We're looking at personality nodes. So they are just about the view, the perspective. So in transits, that can be translated as what we're being shown at the moment. And what we're being shown is 50 and 3. I don't even know what line they're in right now, but it doesn't matter. But it's what we're being shown is somewhere along the themes of the old ending and the mutation being possible, things changing, something old. It can be very literal, and it doesn't have to be at all, but something is dying for something new to be born out of it. It can just be an upgrade of technology. It can be whatever kind of change. But
Traditional way.
yeah, so it's going from a cauldron, from the tribal into the individual, into mutation. But when it comes to design nodes, and I really don't understand why we never look at the design of of transits, because Ra also said that he looks at that side very often. And when we look at those nodes, we can see the background frequency. And the background frequency is at the moment all about power and influence. And that we are in the middle of what is gaining and losing power and influence. So we can find ourselves in situations or around people who have become very powerful, and then suddenly they're losing their power or their influence.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'd like to thank you all for listening to me. Sorry for this mumbling here on the side.
No, yeah, but do you not think that we should take in account the design side as well? Because Ra also, when he talks about his encounter chart,
Mm-hmm.
he says that it happened on a transit when the environment was caves. I think that's very specific.
That is specific, but if you look at design transit, now you're going to focus on it with your mind, and then what?
No, I don't have to focus on it. It's just seeing what is more to it.
You could, but
I think that you can, through design transits, you can see what can happen to your body, for example. What kind of changes can happen to your body in a certain period of time. Maybe if you're more prone to getting sick.
Yeah.
Or energy levels as well, for example. If you're going to have more energy, if you have your sacral, if you're non-sacral and suddenly it's defined by an unconscious definition,
mm-hmm.
then you can have more energy in your body, potentially.
Okay, I understand what you say, but for me it remains so that every time I start focusing on transits, on knowledge, I'm an indirect light, so it might be that, but it doesn't clarify for me. It makes things more foggy, more misty. So I just leave it up to strategy authority and see from there.
Yeah, okay, I get it. But it's just I was I studied astrology a long time ago, and it's always when it came to transits that it totally lost me, because the transits were never accurate.
Mm.
And then when I came into human design and I started listening to transit reports, I even very professional ones from IHDS, remember, in the beginning,
Yes.
it did not show to be accurate at all.
Mm.
At all. So I think that we just have to look at these planets in a more specific way, with the themes of resonance, with those same keywords, like the Mercury being communication, the
Mhm.
Uranus being sidetrack, and how that can affect you in that way.
You might be right. Maybe there's people out there who will listen to this and say, I think it is so. For me, it's just doesn't really matter.